Malaysian rider, 2022 ATC champion, the winner here in Malaysia, and that's in the race for his third overall in the Red Bull Rookies Cup this year with a victory and 7 podiums. So yes, a real talent in the crew. We do expect Denise to be moving up to Moto3 next year with the MSI squad. That hasn't been officially confirmed yet, but he's in those colours, or similar colours anyway, this weekend. But do watch out for Denise. He's not coming up, here, sorry, to make up the numbers. He's to finish the points, potentially a little bit more than that. So yeah, do watch out for Denise. He's on the screen now with his third photo already.
Yeah, that win and 7 podiums as well. He's done very, very well. In different scenarios, that win was amazing. The podiums have all come in battles, and he likes to get his elbows out. Denise has been really one to watch throughout the years in MotoGP, and now he's here on the world stage. So we welcome the number 13. He isn't the only wild card in the paddock this weekend. We've got a couple up in Moto2 as well. Alvaro Hakim and Warm Up, MI Racing, WRW team, and Helmi Adman for the same squad. So keep an eye on those guys, seeing what they can do up in Moto2. That's coming up in about half an hour's time. Just get we follow the each round. This is coming up through sector 3. He obviously knows this track very, very well, so he'll be quite familiar with all of the little quirks and intricacies that this place has. It's a long, long track, over 5 kilometres in length, so for some of the rookies, this might be quite a challenge to learn it. I'm sure Hakim Delic knows what way round it goes.
Yeah, exactly that. The rookies are going to take some time to learn this one, of course. It's been grand tracks in the last few weeks for all the rookies. Some of the places in Europe, most of the places in Europe, really know through GTP, the Red Bull Rookies Cup duties. But yeah, obviously, Motegi, Indonesia, Australia, last time out, of course, and Malaysia, completely new territory for the one of the toughest to learn. Safety for over 5 kilometres in length. This one, a completely different challenge, different island. That's their man. Not only the conditions, but the type of racetrack as well. It's got a bit of everything here. It's the Sepang International Circuit. One of the main reasons why MotoGP contesting here year on year for pre-season provides a real challenge for the riders. And speaking to some of the MotoGP riders yesterday, they all said this is one of the toughest races of the season. Demanding circuit, demanding conditions.
John Kelso across the line up into the top 5. Let's just talk about his late performance for a moment, shall we? What a fine ride it was. He stayed with Jose Antonio Rueda for as long as he could, and right there until the last lap. Rueda just breaking clear in the end, but Kelso fantastic at home. It was his fifth consecutive front row as well. He's looking very, very good in qualifying. He converted the front row for the first time since he won Mock, so that's how long John Kelso has been lacking a bit of success on a Sunday. Really, Kelso, fine rider. If he took out this exceptional talent of Jose Antonio Rueda, would have been your comfortable Australian Grand Prix winner, he's got himself.
Well, yeah, both of them 12 seconds clear of the chasing back, and pretty much immediately, wasn't it? They just pulled clear. Kelso was in the lead in the early stages, as Rueda mentioned, and saw Kelso pushing on in the early stages of the race and decided, right, I'm getting my head down and going with him, and just they looked at that gap and then realised, of course, that it was going to be pretty comfortable for them to finish P1 and P2, just depending on the order. Kelso, after the race, was both disappointed, of course, to miss out on victory by less than a second on home turf, but to be fair to Kelso, he was very complimentary of the rider of the team, Jose Antonio Rueda. He was mentioning the Australian that he made a big step on tyre management this year, but he realised racing behind the waiver in the last few laps, seeing from Kelso said from mid-race he was controlling that rear tyre, not pushing it too much. Felt comfortable chasing Rueda, was well in the hunt throughout that, but was really heavily managing that tyre from probably, he said, around about lap 7 or 8. But in the latter stages when Kelso was thinking about making a move, he said he was really good in the first sector, so he lined up turn 4, middle corner, but Rueda just turned in the whip in the last couple of laps. That rear tyre of Rueda's was in much better shape than Kelso's, and Kelso unfortunately didn't have an answer, didn't have a chance to overtake Rueda in the closing stages. Only times he could say, yeah, Rueda was just better than me, has been better than all of us, just on a different level in terms of that, but top job from Kelso. Pressure was on the weekend, obviously, with all the Australians, all the home crowd, favourites, wherever you go, there's a little bit of added pressure, but Kelso really did deliver. Fair play to him as well. I did ask Kelso as well about the different form he had mid-season. You mentioned there, his podium in Le Mans was his last podium before he was on the box last time out, and he didn't really want to comment too much. I think there's been a fair few things going on behind the scenes. He said there's a lot of circumstances, a lot of things that go on behind the scenes that people don't see. He didn't want to comment on it too much further. The main thing for Kelso was he was back on the box, happy again, back where he said they belong, where he belongs, and great for him to finish on the box again. Second time in 3 years he's going to find a top job.
Also moving on, of course, to Michael Laverty's Grid M Lab team next year as well, so he won't be lining up at KTM. The Grid M Lab team are coming up with it a little bit more in recent rounds. They're starting to get somewhere where I think they know they're capable. Was that Jacob Wills to lose the front on exit as well? Very strange indeed, but Max Dino's all zap on by through there, so good job there for Dino to avoid any disaster with Jacob Wilson's front end misdemeanor. But back to Joel Kelso, Michael Laverty's team obviously taking him on for next year. They're starting to get a little bit more towards the points places now and knocking on the door, getting their rankings Q2, reached those in recent rounds. But that team yet to really have a very, very solid campaign. The level up MT18 both poles and podiums. You do get the impression that perhaps Joel Kelso's opportunities to win a Moto3 race on what is a better bike as well. The KTM has done all the winning in 2025. Honda have not won a single Grand Prix yet. Maybe opportunities starting to thin out as we approach the final 3 Grand Prix.
Yeah, potentially. As things stand now, of course, we can look at it and think, well, first of all, the KTM is a better package of the Honda in the level of MT18. Obviously on a better package, doing better than the Grid team, but obviously things can change next year, and we've seen with Leopard have slightly different spec Hondas. They're sort of a factory Honda team, let's say. see close competitive racing. We don't just want to see the KTM riders up there. We want to see all the Honda riders doing well, and we want to see all the teams having a pretty much equal chance to promote themselves into the points paying positions and podium positions as well. But I think for MLab, it's great to have someone like Calvin on. Obviously, vastly experienced, but a podium finisher as well. He's in the top 5 of the championship. Let's not forget this season. It's been a fantastic year for Kelso, despite that sort of mid-season dip in form. But he's really come on leaps and bounds in the final in the last few races. So it's an intriguing move. I'm excited to see how that one plays out. And if MLab can make the improvements that they are doing, if we like to say in the last few rounds, then it could work out. And Kelso, you know, has his eyes on a Moto2 ride next year.
100%. And the other thing with MLab is that they're willing to make changes in the squad as well. They're looking already at done some restructuring. There'll be more to come, I'm sure, in 2026 in terms of parts and whatnot. The team is improving every single Grand Prix. That shows what they've been able to do. Particularly Martin Morelli's come into the squad. Oh, that's getting tight down to turn 1. And I'll tell you what, was that Alvaro Carpe? It was Carpe and Pini, so our two exciting rookies in 2025. Just getting a bit close down there at T1, but just back to MLab. Since Marco Morelli's come in, Eddie O'Shea's found a bit of performance as well. There's been some changes within the team internally. They are working, and it's a very exciting prospect when you think about what they can do with a full load of pre-season testing incoming. Coming down towards turn number 1 is Cormac Buchanan trying to come through on O'Shea. Adrian Fernandez is just honing into view. Very, very tricky turn 1, and again Cormac Buchanan, and he's waving his arm at Eddie O'Shea there. Not sure that was too much to do with Eddie. There's only one rider in that situation. You can see where the other one is, and Eddie O'Shea was not having rolled down to it just yet. Back to Pini and Carpe. He's trying to misdemeanor down at turn 1. Carpe shadowing Pini. Doesn't really get the move done though. It's very, very half wiggle. And he gets a big tiger and shaking the head. I mean, Guido Pini might spread his own apex, but Alvaro Carpe not too impressed, I don't think. There we go. Have a bit of hot tyre up your inside right leg, Guido. That'll get you going in the morning.
Yeah, nice little slow there down at turn 1. A little bit too close for comfort for free patches 1, boys. Yeah, not sure really who was at fault there. Probably more Carpe. He's at the inside trying to make a move that didn't quite get it done there. Not too much to worry about. A little bit of contact, rubbing his race in, as they say, as the Moto2 World Championship leader Mano Gonzalez watches on from pit lane.
Might not be able to say that too much on the way. What a title race that is. I've got to say, Diego Moreno has done a fantastic job to get back on terms with Manu Gonzalez. Gonzalez may have been playing it safe. He's now going to go for broke, hasn't he? All that's to come, of course. Moto2 coming up at the end of this straight away in about another 20 minutes or so. Here comes Lewis Sotheby and Neil Morrison. Back across the line, Valentin Peroni. Let's talk about Valentin Peroni. This is his worst finish of the year last time around. For the Biden in his 20th first finish outside of the point position. It was his worst qualifying, down in 22nd place. It's his first time at Sepang. It's already going better than his first time at Phillip Island. He really did not find the mojo last time out in Australia.
First time finishing outside of the points since the American Grand Prix. It's been a fantastic run for the rookie, hasn't it? Peroni, but just never got going in Australia. Just found it was super difficult, the conditions of the circuit, and described the race as a super difficult race for him and the team as well. Was just struggling a lot. The feeling in the race was better than the previous 2 days, he said. He was a lot more confident on Sunday, which is good, of course, but if you're not in and around the points for the Sunday, it's a bit too late to be feeling good. But he said he just couldn't turn the bike properly in the fast corners. If you can't turn the bike properly in fast corners, you don't want to be riding around Phillip Island, really, because that's what it's all about over in Australia. He said that's something they need to improve, but there's less of that here at the Sepang International Circuit, and all right already. Going way better than he did over at Phillip Island. So just one of those circuits, one of those weekends that just didn't click for Peroni. That can happen. We've seen it with Carpe this year. Of course, the rookies, you can't unless you're. They're all fast unless you're, I don't know, like a Keyless, although he's struggled at the bench this year as well. You're not going to hit the ground running. You're going to get to weekends where you're going to struggle a little bit more. Of course, Peroni, that struggle meant no points, which is unfortunate for him and the team, but he's got to forget about it. He's got to learn from it, which is exactly what they'll do. And come into the Malaysian Grand Prix we saw it, didn't we, with Kelso and Moreno. As soon as they got, well, above a second, really, 2 seconds at least, then you're away. If you can keep the pace up, which is exactly what they did. The group behind Bassin as well, and Almanza was in that group. But yeah, if you use the tyre trying to catch up, which is the correct thing to do, you've got to try and get yourself in that group in the battle. Once you're there, you can try and stay there. If you can't get there, then of course you've got no chance of being in and around the fight for the podium. But yeah, it was a decent comeback for Almanza. A very disappointing qualifying, of course, to couple that with a long penalty. And again, we get some little bit of argy-bargy. That's down at turn 9, the sharp hairpin. Joel Esteban. Shout out to Joel Esteban, by the way, a fantastic race. P4, he didn't call best result, beat his teammate, Maximo Pires. Went under the radar a little bit with the way they were first and helped with second home hero, but in that battle, Joel Esteban, fantastic stuff from the number 78, replacing Dennis Hodge again this weekend.
I can imagine Pires does that really well.
Exactly what I was thinking when the 78 dived up the down
into turn 9 here, and that is about as close as you get. Joel Esteban getting shoved off that racing line by hard charging Valentin Peroni, who sits second at the moment. Joel Esteban, where are you? Down in 12th place at the moment, but still respectably just over a second adrift of Angel Piqueras, who leads the way on the 2:11.83, a couple of seconds away though from the lap record. Conditions obviously not ideal, they are all out there on slicks at the moment, so still plenty of time left in this one. Peroni has now got ahead of Esteban, and see if Esteban repays the favour. I'm sure he won't think twice in doing so, although it is free practice 1. There's no points for getting your elbow down straight away. That brings me on to the next point. Of course, Esteban is still replacing Dennis Hodge, who's not quite well enough to come back yet. Rino Uriarte is still in for David Munoz. Of course, we've seen plenty of Uriarte, but Munoz is recovery continuing from his broken leg, sustained that incident back in Mandalika. Here's Tyre Furusato. Well, tricky time things last time out. I think Tyre Furusato was looking on for a podium at one point and didn't quite have the tempo for it. Finished 8th to Phillip Island. Furusato 17th to 2nd though last year. He did give it a good go, looking a 10th of a second away from victory. So he likes Sepang. Is this going to be the weekend where this young Japanese rider can at last take victory? But yet so far, not quite on that top step just yet.
Not quite. You do feel like it's coming, hopefully, in the next 3 races. That's all that Tyre Furusato might have left in Moto3. We still don't know where the 72 will be heading in 2026. Probably Honda team knows in Moto2, but we're very coy about Furusato's future. So that is it to be confirmed. But yeah, Furusato was in that second group, wasn't he, in that podium fight, and yeah, just missed out on a top 5 finish. So he'll be hoping at least a repeat of last year's heroics, finishing on the podium. Got ousted on the final lap, I believe, wasn't it? Tyre Furusato. A fantastic race here last year. And so I think Furusato, at the very least, will be wanting a podium in the final 3 races. He always cuts a frustrating figure at the end of races when he's not finished on the podium, just Furusato. A great little character.
round. Barcelona, can you believe it? Barcelona feels like last year. It feels like ages since we've even been at home now, I've got to say. Barcelona, of course, is our local round, so we're all based over there in Catalonia, but it feels like a long, long time ago what happened in Barcelona. But of course, we will back to Europe. We are back on European times next time out, and we'll get to Portugal and Portimao, and then it's the season showdown in Valencia. Round 22. Wow, can you believe it? 22 rounds in MotoGP, 22 FP1 with me, mate. How did we? Don't answer that one now. Take a look at it. The gas, it was in P1 and that 2:11.837. Got about 10.5 in hand over Valentin Peroni. I've got to say, Peroni's put the struggles of Phillip Island behind him straight away here and coming out the box fighting, looking very good in second place. Then it is John Calto, Max Miller, Jacob Wilson in fifth place. Then we taking Simon Crowfar with Alex Rees, Monster, and Yamaha MotoGP rider. And of course, the Yamaha MotoGP steward, Simon Crowfar. He's talking about barbecues or something like that there. Just to complete your top 10, we've got Wilson Delish in 6th place, Keisha first to 6th, 7th Ralanda, who's your top Honda, Uriarte, 8th, Later, your champion 9th, Luke Lanetta, the only other Honda inside the top 10 in 10th place. I want to talk about Jacob Wilson if I can before we get across at the end of this Moto3. Jacob Wilson, really unhappy, disappointed, sad. Last time out in Phillip Island, crashing out from the top 5, a real disaster and a point of the year. We spoke about it in Australia, he hadn't got a ride sorted for 2026 and it was looking like, this has got to be the weekend to get a good result and at least put yourself in the shop window. He didn't, he fell off very early on. Such a shame for Ralston, but he's up inside the top 5 again this weekend. So at the moment, still carrying on that form from Australia, but an error that really he could have done without.
Yeah, a real shame, and I was super disappointed for Ralston, who said he was understandably heartbroken after the day's race, but he also said this is racing. I think he took it really well. He had a smile on his face throughout the rest of the day, and sometimes that's what you've got to do. Ralston had a fantastic opening few laps, qualified down in 13th and quickly made his way up inside P4, then got into 3rd just before he took the front at turn 6. He said he just didn't take into account the amount of wind that was over at turn 6, and it just caught him out slightly, and unfortunately a small mistake, I mean, anywhere can catch you out, but especially in those conditions at Phillip Island, very windy, pretty cold as well, and unfortunately it signalled the end of the race for Ralston, who, yeah, still doesn't have a ride, not much of an update, unfortunately. I desperately hope he is able to find one on the Moto3 grid. I'm one of the ones who feels like he definitely deserves to stick around next year. The only 2 DNS before that he had was through mechanical issues, technical issues, whatever you want to call it. Been in the points in every other race. Got his best result over in Indonesia. Absolutely deserves a ride next year. But yeah, not much of an update. I think there's a couple of seats available, but unfortunately they're paying rides, and I think Ralston isn't comfortable with doing that, doesn't want to do that. The amount of money that's being asked anyway. A lot of these riders, especially outside of Europe and within Europe as well, spend, understandably, a lot of money. It's not a cheap hobby, let's say. It's not a cheap career getting into the World Championship. And it's a lot of time and effort for friends and families, a lot of money spent. So fingers crossed Ralston can get sorted, and if he does it in Moto3 next year, let's hope he can find a different avenue, potentially Moto2 European Championship, but I know those rides cost a lot of money as well. So yeah, just keep our fingers crossed. I know we've got a lot of Australian listeners who will be hoping to hear some news about Ralston in the coming days, and we do as well. There's another one, the Australian Joel Kelso goes up into the top 3, but yeah, Ralston, yeah, sounds like it's ever trickier to get a ride in Moto3 next year, but we've seen in the past, the likes of the Alonso Lopez's, Fermin Aldeguerra, of course, a MotoGP race winner, went through Moto2 European Championship into Moto2. We've shown Manu Gonzalez is another one. You don't have to necessarily come through Moto3 into MotoGP to get into MotoGP. You can find different avenues. So hopefully, if he doesn't get a Moto3 ride next year, it's a different avenue into Moto2 potentially, and then who knows what can go from there for Ralston.
100%. Motorcycle racing, not a cheap sport, unfortunately, all around. And yeah, in today's climate, it is harder and harder each year to get a ride. But Jacob Wilson, we are hoping that, of course, the number 12 is on the grid somewhere in 2026, somewhere in a World Championship at least. Maybe not in Moto3, but if he can get a ride, maybe in the Superbike paddock somewhere, then Jacob Wilson is going to be a front runner, I'm sure. But we hope to keep him here for the time being, at least the number 12, who currently sits in 7th place, just ahead of the number 13 of Hakim Danish, who still up inside the top 10. Fantastic opening session of the weekend for our home wildcard. Let's have a look at David Almanza. We'll set a red first sector, but he's just gone away from him in the middle of the lap. Comes across the line. David Almanza goes up into the top 5, but he's just about a second off at the moment from Angel Piqueras, so there's a little bit of time still to be found for the riders behind Piqueras. Piqueras is down to 2:10s. He's 2:10.979. He's got under 0.2 of a second over Jose Antonio Rueda, who has moved up. This is Adrian Fernandez. This should put him top 5 if he can hold that to the line. Indeed it does. Puts him 4th, so just Alvaro Carpe, who is behind him on track, split the two Leopard Racing Hondas. Less than 3 minutes to go. So far it's so clean, no misdemeanors out there on track, no yellow flags to be talking about. And for the last 3 minutes or so, let's hope that we get some fast times to get an indication of what's to come later on, of course, because FP1 counts for nothing. It's all on practice in terms of who gets seeded through to Q2 and who has to go through what is a literal jungle here in Malaysia in Q1.
Yeah, it certainly is. An important session always, FP1, but with unpredictable weather throughout the weekend, who knows, this might be the only dry track time we get. Hopefully that isn't the case, but practice this afternoon could very well be wet. Tomorrow morning could very well be wet. We've seen already practice, of course, FP2 I'm talking about, starts a little bit earlier, 25 minutes earlier than or 20 minutes earlier. I think it's 20 minutes earlier. Anyway, 5 minutes doesn't make a difference.
If you want to do an extra 5 minutes, mate, up to you.
Not next to you, I don't know. So conditions will be a little bit more treacherous tomorrow morning potentially as well. So we've not seen many people here. I saw Hakim Danish come into the pits for a brief time, but yeah, important lap times these, important time spent on circuit, and good to see there's been no crashes so far. We have not just jinxed that, but conditions do seem, track conditions anyway, do seem like they're pretty favourable. Plenty of grip out there. Obviously the track temperature isn't going to be an issue because it's in the mid-20s already, rising towards 30 degrees. So you can see some wet patches around, but not caught anyone out so far, which is good news.
The thing is, it's a long lap here, so we're going to see a little bit less pit lane activity in the practice sessions because you naturally get less laps than you do at a shorter track like a Phillip Island that's, you know, over 30 seconds longer here. So, yeah, it's a long old track here, about 5.5 kilometres in length. It's probably one of the biggest venues we've come to all year. It's an enormous facility here. Of course, they used to have Formula 1, not anymore. MotoGP is absolute pride and joy these days in world motorsport, but Sepang is big, so any trips there pit lanes are long old pit lane as well. Any crashes, they do bite you a little bit more here than perhaps there's a place such as Valencia, such as Phillip Island, such as Mandalika. Less than 30 seconds or so on the clock as we follow Max Kilos with Hakim Danish just in behind him. Joel Eston's behind them. Joel Kelso is behind Esteban, and Kelso looking to go to the top here in FP1 already on Friday morning. Let's take them all across the line. Ricky Rossi's on a good lap as well here. The number 54 is coming very, very good. Yamanaka's got up inside the top 10. Up into P3 goes Ricky Rossi. P2 Joel Kelso. Couldn't quite see where Kelso went. Now our time in town is at a moment. Another moment is coming throughout the course of 2025. But Ricky Rossi, what a lap that is. I mean, it sounds like his future is very much open and unconfirmed. Much like this rider on screen, Jacob Wilson. But Ricky Rossi up inside the top 3 at the moment. Wilson looking at going P1. He's got Angel Piqueras as a cracking reference as they come through turn 11.
Yeah, good stuff from Rossi. Had a weekend to get over in Phillip Island. They're all still chasing an Angel Piqueras, but there's some good lap times coming in late on. Ralston just shadowing the session leader at this moment in time, and it's a very good lap from Ralston so far, so he can potentially promote himself from P8 up into the top 3, which would be a good start to the weekend for the Australian, and on that rookie of the year watch, Quilez has just struggled slightly in the session, down in 18th. Carpe just didn't see his time on the screen there inside the top 10, losing a little bit in sector 3, but I do feel like that is definitely one to watch this weekend. It's not a foregone conclusion. I mean, Quilez has the upper hand, no question about it. But if Carpe can just chip away at that lead and make it interesting, I mean, it gives us something to talk about as well going into the final couple of rounds. Really jumps into the top 2, a good late lap.
Yeah, very good indeed. Marco Morelli, a good late lap as well, up into 10th place, up inside the top 10. So very good late laps coming in as conditions improve and riders get a bit more feeling as this session goes on. Coming to the line, Carpe's going to improve as well. It's going to be a good lap indeed if we can hold it. Ooh, just dropped a little bit of time in that last sector, but still up inside the top 10 and improved overall, just behind Adrian Fernandez, both on track and in the timing tower. So it is Angel Picaras who leads away by just half a tenth of a second over Jacob Ralston. Joel Kelso there in third. We have a look at Brian Uriarte just coming through that final corner and now charging to the line. Uriarte, what's he got for us? In 12th place at the moment. Is this going to put him top 10? Oh, yes it is. Puts him up into P7, just ahead of Haki Danish, who's yet to take the checkered flag. But it's just done it now. It's gone past our comms position. So Danish takes 8th. And that is about it. No, Jack Wheeler has not taken the checkered flag just yet. Neither Stefano Neppes. Right down the bottom of the timing screens at 1:17.8 seconds. Ahead of him is Matilda Tallis over. Both of the Italians just struggling a little bit. No such worries though for P1. Angel Picaras, as you can see, is at 1.4 seconds off the lap record, but conditions not ideal for the opening session in MotoGP. The rain stayed away. Picaras comes out to play. P1.
Certainly does. Hasn't had a podium since his Catalan GP victory, and boy does he need a podium, not just for finishing second overall, but just for a little bit of confidence and just to take the edge off what's been a bit of a low-key season in terms of his title prospects anyway for the 36 before he moves up to Moto2, but that's exactly what he would have wanted. 17th in Australia and then come here to Malaysia, forget that, and top the opening session one weekend, of course. Plenty of action still to come, but yeah, the only rider into the 2:10, so top job from Picaras.
Good stuff from Jacob Wilson as well with that late lap. His 14th lap out there. Not many riders setting more. Valentin Peroni was one of them. Ryusei Yamanaka another. There's some home support for Jacob Wilson. A lot of Australians do make the trip over here. I mean, it's a 9-hour flight from Melbourne, but we do have a lot of Australians coming out to support the Moto3 riders. And of course Jack Miller up in MotoGP, Senna Aegis in Moto2 doing the business last time out, and 2 Australians up inside the top 3 in the opening FP1 session in Moto3. Well worth the trip and well worth the early get up on a Friday morning.
Absolutely, yeah, good stuff for Kelso and Ralston to finish inside that top 3. And yeah, we are looking forward to more this afternoon.
It doesn't count for anything though. FP1 is now consigned to history. Practice is where it counts later on. But as you can see, Picaras ahead of Ralston and Kelso. That's your top 3. Ricardo Rossi with a very late lap to put himself ahead of the newly crowned champion over Antonio Rueda. Almanza, Uriarte, Danish, Fernandez and Alvaro Carpe completing your top 10. Some shout-outs further back for Ryusei Yamanaka, who has put Australia struggles behind him but is still down there in 13th. Valentin Peroni set more laps than anyone else. He was there in 15th place and up inside the top 2 in the early stages. All the way down to Tyler Perasato in 23rd. He'll be looking for a bit more. Vitali and Nepa round out FP1's order. And that's it. Myself, Kiko Giles and Ellie Yorkar out of here and through and into, take you through Moto2. Lewis Sotheby and Neil Morrison. Enjoy!
set for this Malaysian Grand Prix. A circuit where Manu Gonzalez is talking big, expecting this to suit him. He's only going to have to. Just 2 points now between the big two.
We've had 90 races, but Moto2 action is about 25. Separated from what technical that was. Philip Barnett gets the moment to go. Winning at top two, we're going